mining in Star Citizen can rake in some sizable returns. It may not be the fastest, nor the easiest, but by golly does it have the fewest bugs. At least for me in the current build.
You gotta be kidding
So
me.
if the thought of ship combat gives you the willies, if you can't see another delivery machine without wanting to punch it, if you simply couldn't make the easiest money in the verse being a rat, be sure to check out my easy money guide if you haven't, then let's get to breaking some rocks. Citizens, let's get mining with the Prospector. Let's address the elephant in the room right now. The Prospector isn't cheap. That's not to say that it's the most expensive ship in Star Citizen, far from it. But when it comes to the number one question asked about Star Citizen gameplay, what's the best way to make money? Mining is one of the go-to answers, and it's not a lie. However, chances are if you're asking that question, you might be low on funds, and when you're low on funds, 2 million credits may seem like an insurmountable task. That's right, 2 million. But worry not, my aspiring rockbreaker, you can rent it for a reasonable 50k a day, though that does come with a considerable drawback. That being, rented vehicles cannot have parts upgraded, and for the cream of the mining crop, Quantanium, I'm sure you've heard of it, you'll need those upgrades. But don't let that discourage you. Just because you can't get that quant train rolling just yet, doesn't mean you can't make a living with the Prospector. To get started, you'll want to rent one. Don't worry, if you're planning on buying one, we'll be getting to that part of the video soon enough. Now where was I? Yes, renting. To do this, go to any station in an L1 rest stop, head to the refinery cargo level of the station and interact with the rental terminal. Select the Prospector and pay. The Prospector will by default be delivered to your home location, but you can simply recall it to the station you're at and wait. You can spend a little extra to drop this wait time, but that's up to you. Once the Prospector has arrived, call it to the pad. Enter via the ladder access on the ship's left-hand side and take a seat. For best results, I'd recommend you head to Aberdeen in the Hurston system, but you'll be able to mine on the majority of the moons as well as Microtech. The reason we're headed to Aberdeen is because this is where we'll find the highest concentration of the highest value minerals you can mine that aren't Quantanium. That is to say, Bexolite, Laranite, and Agricium. Once you've arrived at Aberdeen, pick a quantum jump point and descend to the moon's surface, and mind you keep your speed at a reasonable range when you do. The Prospector slides about so much, it might as well have come standard with the Tokyo Drift soundtrack playing through the cockpit. Once within 1 to 2k's of the surface, pick a direction and start prospecting. Using the tab key will send out a ping detecting rock formations on the surface. As a default, this scan will be at 360-degree range, but by pressing the period key, you can tighten that angle, and pressing the comma will increase it. Once you've found a deposit, pull in closer for a scan. The V key will switch to scanning mode, and holding down your left mouse button will scan the materials within, giving you a breakdown. If this doesn't yield any information, don't worry, it's a bug that we're waiting on a fix for. Instead, press the M key to extend your mining arm and hover the reticle over the boulder, highlighting the outline in yellow. The computer will scan the makeup of the deposit and show the results. With the base mining laser on the rented Prospector, any deposit with a mass higher than 5,000 isn't mineable and you should move on. Ideally, we want Bexolite in a percentage of at least 30, but if the deposits you scan are lean, we can settle for less, or even Laranite or Agricium. One thing to note in this is that unlike Quantanium, there's no time crunch due to instability, so if you only find low percentage deposits, you can take small nibbles from more than one. Once you've found a deposit to mine, get within the mining laser's ideal range, illustrated by the bar on the left-hand side of your HUD. Once within range, power the laser using the left mouse button. The bar on the left-hand side of the mining reticle is the power percentage in the mining beam. The right-hand side will show you the sweet spot you'll need to reach with the laser. Increase or decrease the charge by scrolling your mouse wheel. Pushing this into the red will cause an overcharge of the rock, destroying the resources and potentially you as well. Charge the rock till you reach the sweet spot and keep it there as the bar fills, resulting in the deposit cracking open. It may take some effort to master this balancing act, but with practice, you'll find the rhythm in no time. Once the rock is broken open, these smaller fragments must be scanned, much as before, their new percentages of resources displayed. Repeat the process on the fragments that have the mineral you're targeting. After this second break, the smaller fragments will now have a purple outline, indicating they can now be gathered. Pressing the right mouse button will switch the mining laser to the extraction tool, and you'll be able to pick up the minerals and store them in your ship's hoppers. So, here's the thing. You will extract everything that's in that deposit, even the inert materials and other minerals you might not want, and you cannot discard them after having done so. You have a total of 32 SCU to carry your harvested materials, so prioritize higher percentage yields and don't feel bad about leaving parts behind to search for something better. Once you've filled your cargo, it's time to head out to a refinery. Open your star map and set a course for the closest L1 rest stop. In this case, it will be HUI-L1. Land at the station, store your ship, and head to the refinery. Within the refinery, you'll find the mining supply store, much like where you rented the Prospector from, and above this is the refining services. Here you are faced with a choice. Sell the haul you've just mined as unrefined raw materials for an immediate payout, though it will be considerably less than our other option, refining. Refining will incur an upfront cost, but the resulting material's value will cover that once sold. There are multiple refining methods to choose from, varying in cost, time for refining, and yield. I personally use the Ferrin. The materials within the ship's storage will be displayed and you can choose what minerals you want refined. Sticking to the 3 that I mentioned is best practice, but I'm also not your mum, so it's your decision. Once you select the minerals, method, and make payment, the refining begins. You'll be able to repeat this process of mining and refining for as long as you have access to the Prospector, and the completed jobs will be stored here after they're done. There's no fee for holding nor time limit, so you can store it to take in larger quantities if you want. The Prospector unfortunately cannot carry this cargo, so if you don't have a ship large enough to move the refined materials, you can always rent another ship with the space. I used to rent the Cutlass Black for just under 30k and it holds 46 SCU. Once you decide to move the refined materials, have the vehicle you intend to use stored at the station. Select to take the completed job and any others you can fit in one run, and take the haul to a trade development division. There's one on each major planet's capital. Alright, on to buying the Prospector. Maybe you mined your way to wealth with a rented ship, maybe you bounty hunted, maybe you ratted. Either way, you've got the cash. Now head to Lawville and Hurston. Go to New Deal in the teaser spaceport and buy your shiny new Prospector. First, we're gonna have to do something about that terrible quantum drive. Head over to HURL5, store the Prospector, and buy the Atlas drive from the Platinum Bay in the station's Galleria. Install it through your ship management tab in the Mobiglass, and head back to the ship. Our next stop is Olisar Station in Crusader. Land here, head to the Dumpers Depot, and purchase the Lancet mining head. Don't even bother with the Helix or the Impact. They look good on paper, but the lack of the right specs makes mining with it a violent mess. Trust me. Next, you'll want to purchase the Surge and the VO C3 modules. Much as you did with the Quantum Drive, install the mining head and the modules in the slots provided. Next, we're going to dart over to ArcL1 to the refinery section to purchase the Stampede module, install that as well. Now, the Surge and Stampede are consumable modules. They each have 5 charges, and after that you'll need to buy them again. Don't worry, with the money you'll be making from Quantanium mining, you'll barely even notice. So now we've got a ship fit for Quantanium mining. Here's where you make your choice. You can either mine in the Aram Belt, which is a popular choice as the risk of being happened upon by AI pirates or human griefers is severely lowered, or Lyria. I'm choosing Lyria. Here's why. Sure, you might encounter a ship or two, but locating deposits of Quantanium is made easier by the following factors. You have a horizon. That's one less dimension to allow you to get turned around and retrace areas you've already been. Next, Lyria is currently the only location that finding a cluster of deposits guarantees its Quantanium. It is very close to an L1, ArcL1, and the L1 is a close proximity to a trade development division on ArcCorp. So we've made it to Lyria. As with the rented Prospector, careful approach. Pick a quantum target. Light side of the moon means a faster jump back to the refinery, which is very beneficial, and you can see where you're going. Begin prospecting. This time, we are heading in a direction and looking for clusters. Reducing your scan range to 180 will cause less confusion with single deposits that you pass by. There we go. That's what we want to see. 2 or more rocks in close proximity means Quantanium. Scan the rocks or use your mining laser to assess the values contained within. Unlike the rented Prospector, a higher yield is imperative. The moment we start extracting exposed Quantanium, it starts becoming unstable, giving us 14 minutes to get it back safely to the refinery before it explodes. That's not good. So we want a rock that we can break, anything under 7k with a high percentage. If 2 or more rocks have a reasonable percentage, we could gather from each, but that's seconds from the clock lost, so choose wisely. An amazing tool to determine how much Quantanium a rock will yield can be found on the website UEX Corp. I'll leave a link in the description below. In the mining tab, you can enter the material we're extracting, Quantanium, the rock's mass and percentage, and the total SCU of Quantanium will be displayed. Pretty nifty, huh? Anything under 5k mass most likely won't need us to use the Surge module, as this gives an aggressive boost to the energy buildup like so. However, you may want to use the Stampede to speed the process along once you get into the green. To use either of these modules, simply tap Alt and the number slot you place the module in. In my case, it's Alt 1 for the Surge and Alt 2 for the Stampede. Once you've cracked the rock, break down the appropriately high yield segments. If you're lucky, you'll get a nice 50-50 split of inert and Quantanium, reducing the amount of useless material. The key difference with Quantanium is that you will need to break open all deposits you intend to harvest before you start extracting. Create a mental roadmap of what pieces you'll be sucking up to minimize wasted space, and do not begin until you're ready. The moment you start, you have 14 minutes on the clock until boom! Before you start extracting, set a course for Arc L1's rest stop for a smoother exit and begin collecting. Once you've filled the storage, break atmosphere, make your jump and get a move on. Upon exiting Quantum Jump, you'll be 70 kilometers out from the station. Wait for the cooldown and jump again. Now you'll be 20 k's out and you can head to the station. Request landing, touch down, make your way inside and experience the longest elevator ride of your life. Go to the terminal and store your ship. Congratulations, you've just cheated certain disaster. Make your way to the refinery, select your ship, the Quantanium, the refining method, and pay. And you're done. Repeat this process as much as you want. Much as with other minerals, the refinery will keep your finished product until you collect it. At the moment, all TDDs pay the same amount for Quantanium, so you might as well take it to Arc 18 because it's a shorter trip. And that's mining in the Prospector. If you found the video helpful, please consider dropping a like below, and I will catch you all next time.